Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the MCU Crew. My voice is back. We're good. I'm 90%, unless I'm not. I might lose my voice randomly in the show. Who knows? Who could say? Jesse, what are you drinking?
Coffee in my mug that says I am esports.
Well, if I had to really distill what Jesse Cox is, it's esports. All right.
It's got a headset that has cat ears on it.
That's the most esports thing I could think of.
Jesse have homemade coffee that he didn't order from Starbucks with his exorbitant Starbucks orders, as we've seen trending on Twitter, door dashing coffees to himself constantly. Jesse,
What makes you think?
What makes you think
I won't do that later? What makes you think I won't do that later?
I just remember this being an area of great speculation.
What?
The amount.
Bronze, why are you talking? Bronze, what's the voice?
Bronze. What Bronze doesn't understand is that I'm fully embracing. You know how like people will go online and like tweet out their new sports car?
Yeah.
It's like me, except with $5 coffees. I'm like the sports car guy with $5 coffees. Yeah, that's me. I'm embracing it now. Also, I'm esports.
Do you drink your coffee black, Jesse?
This is black, yes.
Ooh. Bronze,
we
have
drink
we had
our
this
coffee
conversation?
The same way, Jesse.
Oh.
I don't know if we have. Yeah, I take no cream, no sugar.
I see.
Yeah. Now, if I get like a latte, I expect it to be a latte. You know, like coffee's coffee, latte, cappuccino.
I like you a latte.
Man.
Even though you're part of the bourgeoisie because you order too much Starbucks.
When it comes time for me to be decapitated, I hope you're the one. I hope you're the one to pull the guillotine on me. Frankly.
We're decapitated. That's how you're going, Jesse? You've decided you're not going to...
Oh, yeah. When the revolution comes, I'll look up at Bronze and be like, I'm glad it was you. And then...
Bronze would be on the opposing side of the revolution. That's... yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
My head will just into the basket, and then a bunch of people would cheer, and then they'll sing Les Mis or something. I don't know. Something will happen.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Why would they sing Les Mis?
I don't know. They'll be like, can you hear the people sing? And I'll be like... a head rolling.
Yeah.
Like, it was all right. I had a good life. I think
your head, though, would be like the first Futurama head in a jar. Like, you'd be the test subject.
I'll be all right with that.
Bronze, do you have Chloe's glasses? What's going on here? Is this a fashion statement? Who is Chloe?
Yes. No, I can't get it off.
What?
I tried acetone. It won't come off. Thankfully, it's not in my eye line.
Yeah, I have my glasses have stuff on it too. I have little actually like circles on my glasses that are, you think I'd be like, huh, but no, it's fine.
But hers says Chloe on it. Jesse, what are we talking? Yours.
I got glasses back there that say Ray-Ban, and then it says something else on it too. Like it'd be like that, but they put it out of your line of sight, so like you're fine. It's, you know what, welcome to the world of glasses, man.
I guess. Yeah, maybe I'm just a boring old person with unfashionable glasses.
I mean, I could have told you that.
Yeah.
I am esports.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, it's a big week for Marvel. We got a big movie coming out on the Fridays. We've also got episode 6. I think this might be the biggest week for Marvel in a pretty long time. Wait, when Spider-Man was coming out, was Hawkeye also in finale territory? Was that a thing?
Yes. Hawkeye had...
Okay.
They're very good at... Hawkeye was...
Maybe I didn't think it was that big because I wasn't super into it. I don't know. This feels like a bigger week.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think pre-sales are going crazy right now for Doctor Strange. Last I saw was like 47 million in pre-sales, so it's doing well. It'll probably have a crazy opening weekend. I will also say that spoilers are out there, real ones, not the ones that Disney's been putting out, because they also have straight up said, yeah, everything's in this fucking episode, or in this movie. Here's all the stuff. Here's a billion previews and teasers and all this, which really makes me wonder what is in that movie. If we're seeing the first like 30 minutes, if this is like a dream that Strange has or some shit where he just sees all this craziness happen and then it goes back to normal. I don't know, but stay off the social media. The
So
spoilers are
I
out there.
will say that I'm not going to spoil the scene, but there's a scene that I
Okay.
think Disney put out there. I have no clue, but it straight up is like the scene involving the guy who is not Shuma. And they
Okay.
just, I don't know if they put out enough clips, but I saw a thing on YouTube that was like the image of not Shuma. And I was like, what the hell is this? Clicked it. It was multiple clearly press clips stitched together that I'm going to assume is 90% of the scene. I
Okay.
watched that entire scene happen. And here's all I'm going to say. I hope this was like beta footage because either Sam Raimi loves bad CGI or there was a lot of bad like there was what's her face? Star Jacket, whatever her name is. My brain just died.
America Chavez?
Yes, America Chavez. There's scenes of her like running, and it like is a girl on a green screen. I'm like, hold up, that's not good looking. So I'm hoping this was like very, very early footage that they haven't like color corrected and stuff. Because it's like her running, and then like there's shit going on in the background, and it is not the same thing. It is like background her, and you're like, dude, that is Jesse Cox level green screen. That shouldn't be in a movie.
Yeah.
And then there's like an explosion scene and her running, and there's like a visual blur added to her that's like, nope, that's a girl running in a green screen room. You're like, nope, not a fan of this.
I wonder if those are just trailer edits.
Maybe, but it's clearly scenes because one of them doesn't even contain Doctor Strange. So like, but it's all part of the same scene, and then they keep stitching it together. And some guy, I guess, took all the clips and made one long clip, and so I got suckered into watching it. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long, and I was like, that's not the greatest footage I've ever seen. It reminds me of when we saw the trailer, and there's the one scene where America Chavez is like jumping from above, and that scene in the trailer kind of looked janky CG too. And I was like, here's the thing. Remy has this, like, he does this, like, I think on purpose. I don't know.
He has bad screen. Yeah, bad CGI.
Go back and look at his movies. There's like this weird CGI quality to it that I think he does for camp purposes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't want camp, bro. I want to sit there and be like, oh man, that's amazing.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy. Just saying, go look at it. It's wild. It's wild look. Actually, or don't spoil yourself.
Yeah, it might still make its way into the final cut. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a rare occurrence for me. I don't know when the red carpet is. Is it tonight? When I got to watch the Twitter red carpet. It's tonight, according to my chat.
Very weird thing from you, where you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was out of the loop. I guess I'll have to tune in.
John Red Carpetman?
That's me.
Is this like a thing you do?
Yeah. Oh, wait, the Met Gala carpet is tonight? Well, shit. I got to go to a dinner, too. So I guess that's good.
The Met Gala red carpet is the thing you do? This is...
Oh, yes, Jesse. Come on.
JP.
It's incredible. JP. Have you seen those outfits?
Buddy.
It's incredible.
Buddy. My man.
Wait, so they're doing the Multiverse of Madness red carpet at the same time as the Met Gala? That seems... not smart.
Seems like dividing your audience now.
It does. I know. Yeah, there's so many Marvel heads that watch the Met Gala. Like, what are they doing?
Can I tell you? I just speaking of the Met Gala, just this weekend saw an article about like Anna de Winter rates the Met Gala.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing where they go through every Met Gala for the last like 20 years and rate the best of and worst of. Here's the thing. I don't know anything about the Met Gala. I didn't realize that every year there's a theme. Almost every year there's a theme.
A soft theme,
and sometimes, hilariously, the ratings were based on the theme. If they nailed the theme, they got like they were the one. If they screwed it up, it's hilarious to me that sometimes the themes are like the strength of women, and then other times the themes are like in a modern world where darkness has encompassed all. The bright light of innuendo is the one truth that we speak, of which we exist. And I'm like, what?
That sounds like the
I
Met
just want to know
Gala.
how they come up with these themes. I want to know,
Well,
like
they all get in a room and they turn off the air. Then everyone farts and they just sit there and smell them, and then they come up with those descriptions. Yeah.
Well, that would explain why some are like, this year's theme is Knight in Armor, and that's like the next year's theme is Truth.
Yeah.
The incomparable meaning of existence. When darkness surrounds us in the whole of our being, the void with which we stare, and you're like, what? How would you dress for that? What is
That's the age-old
They're like,
question,
well, this person
Jesse
didn't nail
Cox.
it. I'm like, nail what? Staring into the void? It makes no sense. Yeah, no, I'm all right.
Yeah. Bronze, are you a gala watcher? Are you don't watch any red
No.
carpets? Okay, Bronze is out of red carpet life.
I watch Drag Race, okay? And those bitches on the Met Gala carpet are never gonna stack up to those queens, all right? I see
Time out.
what Met Galas grow up to become.
Time out. Zendaya in that armor was fire.
I mean, that was
fire.
That was
fire. Go look it up,
one
Bronze.
for the ages.
Tell me, I would follow her into battle dressed like that. I'd be like, wherever you lead,
yeah,
pull your sword from the sheath and lead me to battle.
Are you a diabetes stan?
Oh my god, that I want like.
Oh, you're saying Zendaya?
Yeah.
Oh,
what'd you think?
I thought you were talking about Diabetes, the queen from the current season of Drag Race.
Oh, this is a Drag Race thing. Okay, yeah. No, he's talking about old Zen.
Okay. There's
old
people in chat that I'm sure are my demographic.
Yeah.
Don't let me down.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll come back next week. We'll have the hot takes on the Met Gala and the Doctor Strange. Any big predictions for Doctor Strange? I mean, this is a movie where I really feel like this movie is going to be
where anything can happen. Like that's what I'm going. The spoilers that Marvel has put out and the handful of leaks. I really think all this shit is like the first 30 minutes, and then the rest of that movie is absolutely insane with what's in there. But I don't know. I really don't. I don't know where we're doing. Bronze, you have said this whole time that Wanda's not the big bad, that there's another big bad behind the scenes.
I think they're going to have a big bad that they resolve, and that this arc of Wanda's story will be resolved, because last we saw, it seems like they try to like I don't want to say recap, but encircle stuff that happened in the shows.
Right.
So I feel like they're going to talk about that and put a pin in that so they can move forward from it. Even though WandaVision had one of the worst lines I've ever seen in any TV show, which is, they'll never know what you sacrificed for them. At the end of that was her redemption in the show, is that apparently she sacrificed.
I thought you were
going to
say, what is love if not
I thought you were going to say that too. Yeah. Honest to God. I thought that's what I was like.
No, because that shit freaking sent me. I'm not going to get back into it, but she basically almost tried to kill this poor black woman just for approaching her. Like, this is a gated community. Sent her through like 30 things. She didn't know she was going to become Spectrum. For all she knew, Monica Rambeau was going to get turned into Cosmic Putty.
Sure.
And they had these parallel experiences, except one of them processed them in a healthy way, and the other person enslaved an entire town of people that did nothing to her.
That's true.
And carried around their bodies like creepy marionettes.
Also
and
true.
I just thought, at the end, Monica Rambeau's line would be something more than, they'll never know what you sacrificed for them. I was like, what did you sacrifice?
She's in this movie, so we get to see more of her.
Yeah. But I think they're going to try to encompass all of that wonderful storytelling in Strange. But I feel like has to be a villain they actually defeat. Because we haven't had that happen yet. I don't think this fight's going to end with her, being like, oh, never mind, I'm not bad anymore. And I don't think it's going to end with her dying, which means they're probably going to unite against a third entity. That's my bet.
Could be. We also know that. Well, go ahead, Jesse.
No, I was going to say I completely agree. I would wager that it, based on what we know so far, it's either going to be something with the Illuminati or something with.
I don't think the Illuminati's bad. I just think they're a governing body that like does some shit, and then he's just gonna be like, "Oh, that's cool."
I'm letting you know that the Marvel of comics is always upended by the movies.
Well, I
So
think
if the Illuminati's good in the comics, those guys is
it
evil.
depends on
in the
how
movies.
you phrase bad, right? They're gonna be like the gray bad. They're gonna go against Doctor Strange, which if you're a fan of Doctor Strange or you're rooting for Doctor Strange, then yeah, they're bad. But they're going for like
I'm gonna go see the Doctor Strange movie to be like, F that guy. I hope he finally gets what he deserves.
Well, no, they're going for like they're going for the correct path the wrong way, if that makes sense.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know even what the plan is in this film.
Yeah.
We don't know what this is. There could be even evil Doctor Strange. Multiverse of Madness, Dr. Evil Strange Man.
We know that to be true. That's in the trailers.
The zombie Strange. There's so many possible things. In the end, it could be one of those things where it's like the bad guy man was himself. Like, who knows what this is gonna be?
Yeah, I don't.
We don't know what's about to happen.
I really don't. I will say, required viewing if you have not watched it already. What If? Definitely watch What If. That's in the show a billion times over. Multiple characters from What If are in there. Obviously, WandaVision, very important. I wonder if we'll see anything from the TVA, from Loki. Like, I wonder if they're gonna pop up at all. This seems more multiverse related and less like time related.
Sure.
So I don't know if we'll see that. And yeah, I agree with Bronze. I think Wanda will be bad for a portion of it, but I don't think that she's the big bad. And I don't know who is the big bad.
I mean, I imagine she'll come to help at some point where it's like we have to deal with Wanda's tragedy and so like basically something is causing Wanda to see her kids, right?
Yeah.
And whatever that is the thing that's manipulating her. And then her being like the you're correct about the Illuminati. Their job is like, we are keeping it's very clear that in one of the scenes in the trailer, Wanda is being held captive. Or a Wanda. Like,
yeah,
some Wanda is held captive. So they're just like, yo, we should really not deal with Wanda's in was it?
Well, I think there's only
Loki?
one Wanda though, because isn't she a Nexus Nexus being? Isn't that
maybe
the thing with Nexus beings? There's only one.
Isn't I don't I'm trying that's what I was trying to think of. I don't know if a Nexus being means there's only one of them. I thought a Nexus being meant that no matter what, they always follow the same path. In every universe or every multiverse, they're the same. But I could be wrong. But I seem to recall that because I was just about to say before you said that in Loki we learned that there are certain people that no matter what they have, like, this is the trajectory of their existence. And I thought that that's what it meant. Like, a Nexus person always did the same thing no matter what. So if there's a Wanda in one universe, she's going to have just as much trauma as the Wanda of another universe. And no matter what, that's what's going to happen. They're going to end up going that direction. And so the Illuminati's like, Wanda is going to destroy the universe, bro. And so they are just like, lock her up. And so maybe that's what they're doing here too.
Yeah, so the Marvel database says Nexus being are rare individual entities with the ability to affect probability and thus the future, thereby altering the flow of the universal time stream. These beings, each referred to as a Nexus, act as keystones of the multiverse and are crucial to its ultimate coherence and stability. So I guess they basically have a predestined path no matter what. They're like a guidestone.
Right, but I think the idea is that no matter what, that predestined path, no matter who they are, in whatever universe they're in, it's that path. Yeah. So like JP in Earth 2 is still doing this show, but it could be with like that Brain Girl and Johnny Crooks,
Yep. Everyone knows
but
them.
it would still be itmeJP.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So we'll see. I don't know what. I wonder if you even approach the idea of a nexus being, if that gets brought up, if that's in the show.
Who knows?
Do you think we see big characters in the Marvel universe that have not been introduced into the MCU yet, like a what am I trying to say? Like a Fantastic Four leader, Stretch Armstrong. Do you think we see anything like that?
I don't think so. Mostly because didn't they just have someone leave Fantastic Four as director?
John Watts left. Yeah, the director left, but he left because he wants a vacation.
Sure. And two,
He needs a break.
They just had their. I guess they're doing it right now. They're big, like we're planning the next 10 years of Marvel.
Yeah, they've got the retreat for Phase 5.
So I don't think they drop it that early.
Well, I'm not saying
they'll
it's like
give us.
I'm not saying it's the Reed Richards.
No,
just Reed Richards.
I don't think we're gonna get that. I don't think we're gonna have I think the Illuminati is gonna be alternate reality versions of people we already know. So fans of the movies that are only fans of these movies can be like, oh, there is, Agent Carter. And, like that kind of thing. Rather than like, who the hell is this dude that we don't know because I'm 13 and I've never heard of Fantastic Four before? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. I do think we see Professor X, though. I mean, he was in the fucking trailer.
100% for sure.
I think he's part of the Illuminati.
That's like iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an iconic role. They'll put that in there just to mess with everyone and as like a gateway to mutants. And like, of course, completely agree there. I just think that like, you could be like, oh yeah, the guy from Nip Tuck who was Reed Richards. That's the only one that people will be like, okay. And those movies were 20 years ago. So, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Bronze, any predictions, hot takes, anything else on the old Multiverse of Madness?
No.
When are you going to go see it, Bronze? When are you going to go watch this movie?
Well,
you gotta see it by Saturday evening.
Yeah.
That's the caveat.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find an unpopular showing.
Ooh, you haven't got tickets yet? You might have to go out
No,
to the booths.
I don't usually have to get them early.
Okay.
Me either. I don't know what's going on.
Really?
JP?
Yeah.
What?
I don't typically have to get them early.
Wow.
Yeah, as we were just talking, I
me.
went to go look on line to see what the tickets were, and plenty of tickets.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine are always
There's
sold
also
out.
12 million movie theaters in LA, so I'm not like
that's true.
You got
a little surplus.
I have a lot of options.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, which fancy theater do I want to go to? It's like, oh, this one's kind of busy.
For me,
We'll
it's like, man, we've got one fancy theater.
I'm just happy I'm getting over the sinus infection because it's like,
that's good.
Could you imagine sitting in a movie theater, like sneezing like this, giving everyone anxiety?
I would
holding up your negative COVID test.
Yeah, I would get up and like stare you down.
Yeah.
While waving my negative COVID test.
You could have bought that anywhere. Yeah.
Scary out there. By the way, not related to Marvel, just real quick, Jesse, I went and saw the massive weight of
Wait, hold on.
Yes. No, it's like this.
Go on.
It's like this. You do that. Yeah.
Fantastic
love that
film.
Movie. Fantastic movie. Yeah. Go see
Loved
it if you haven't. Dude, my
Nic
theater
Cage
was
movie?
weird, by the way. We had like 2 millennials that sat right behind me that were like probably high, laughing at everything, right? Just nonstop laughter. And then the rest of the theater was, and it was really weird, was filled with like 70-plus-year-olds who like
when
had
did
a
you
hard.
see it though? When did you see it?
I saw it at 7:00 on Saturday night.
That's wild,
dude.
That's so crazy.
It was weird as shit. It was a very weird experience.
I
Because there
saw
was
it
like
with
30 to 40, 70 plus year olds. Like they must have all came on the same bus or some shit. Like the millennials behind me. It was
I
wild
went
viewing.
and saw it with our chum Steven, who is now in the United States,
Yeah.
and and then a bunch of friends from the old Warp Zone,
Mm-hmm.
and the theater was lots of people were there, and the people directly behind us were, I think, Polish. I'm not sure, and they were
Okay.
like laughing and like hooting and hollering. It was a great time. All I'm gonna say is, imagine a movie where Nic Cage goes full Nic Cage, but like for the goof,
Yeah.
and Pedro Pascal is
Pedro Pascal
genuinely
is
a comedic
incredible.
genius.
Yeah.
Like so funny.
It was
Yeah,
a
and
really
then
good movie. Yeah.
it was very good, and I honestly cannot recommend it enough.
Did you
So
watch
go see it.
Paddington 2? Did you watch that?
I'm
After?
not gonna lie.
I
The
might.
minute it
I need to
ended,
watch it.
we all went and watched Paddington 2.
I need to watch it still. Yeah. I need to watch that. movie.
We all were like, no, because I have had in my mind a theory that Paddington 2 is the greatest con the world's ever played on anyone. Because everyone says Paddington 2 is an amazing film. Everyone. It's like Paddington 2 is so good, bro. It'll change your life. I'm like, that's a lie. There's no way that Paddington 2 is a life-changing movie. There's no way. And I'm going to let you know. I will not tell you what happened after I watched the movie. I'm not going to tell you. Go watch Paddington 2. See if they're lying or telling the truth.
I need to see it. Anyways, let's jump into a little bit of news. There's really not much. Jesse already kind of mentioned the big news. John Watts is out of the Fantastic Four movie. He wants a break. He's tired. He's done a lot of movies in the superhero world. I think he wants to get out of that world for a while. So he's out. He's stepping away from the project entirely. They don't have any idea who's going to fill the role or fill the void, but I think it'll be fine. It's the first movie in the series. They can kind of figure out whatever director they want to be the voice or the look and the feel of that movie. And to be honest, I think having more directors in the MCU is better. I think if everything is John Wattsified, you kind of get the same thing over and over. So I'm all for it. I just hope they get a cool director, a fun director for that. I don't really know if I have anyone in mind that would like.
Yeah,
I don't know what I
thing.
want
like,
from a Fantastic Four movie, to be honest.
Exactly. How do you nail that?
Yeah.
Because Fantastic Four, I'm gonna let you know, there's 2 iterations, and neither of them have done it correctly.
Yeah.
The old one was fun, but it wasn't right. It was. I mean, it was literally there was a scene. Let me remind everyone. In the original Fantastic Four movie, well, not the original, but the one from the early 2000s.
Alba? Is this the one
Jessica
with Alba?
Alba has a scene where she gets her invisible powers and ends up naked on the streets of New York, stripping her clothes off so people can't find her, and then her powers fizzle out, and then she's just naked on the streets of New York. And that was a scene that was in that movie. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the second one, they made Galactus Purple Mist.
A cloud. Yeah, they made him a cloud, a purple cloud.
He's Cloud.
Galactus was a cloud. So that was pretty shit.
It turned him into a really bad fight.
But Johnny Storm was amazing. Both movies, great.
Was Johnny Storm in this? Who was Johnny Storm in the second one?
The same guy. It was.
Oh, I'm
what's
thinking
his
of
face?
the third reboot. There's a third film, you know that, right? It's a second reboot of the Fantastic Four.
No, it's the most recent one that they did. That was like all over the place.
Yeah.
The newest one was Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
The old one
It's Chris Evans.
was Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And he was great. He was great in that. Here's the thing: I couldn't bring myself to watch the new one. The trailer looks so bad. I was like, no.
It's what's really weird? I've seen it like 4 times.
The newest one?
The newest one, yeah. It comes on
with
the FX.
With drummer guy?
Yeah.
Drummer guy and Michael B. Jordan?
It comes up on the FX network a lot. And I always just like, I guess I'll watch this shit show. It's really bad.
All right.
It's real fucking bad. I don't suggest you watch it, but.
Time out. Chad is Doom a hacker in that movie?
Yeah.
Fuck! Oh, that's terrible.
Well,
That sucks.
Doom is like a
That
hacker,
sucks.
but he's also like a, he's a brilliant scientist, just like Reed
No,
is.
that sucks. That still sucks.
And
That still sucks.
he
Doom
gets
is a
stuck.
hacker.
He gets stuck on the planet, and then they go there to like, help him out and stuff. Look, it's fucking bad. Okay, it's a bad
Doom
movie.
is
Don't
a
watch it.
hacker, bro.
He's like a blogger. I wouldn't say he's a hack. I mean, he's like a hacker adjacent dude.
You know what? It's fine because currently in the MCU, Doctor Doom sells cupcakes. So
There
at
you
least
go.
according to everyone else, everyone's telling
Yeah.
me those are Doctor Doom cupcakes. So
The old Von Doom
that's fine.
cupcakes. Yeah.
The Von Doom Cupcake Corporation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know who directs that. I know they have a fucking hard task, whoever does, because if they're telling the classic tale, as it were, you've got a dude who's on a surfboard that's all silvered up, and you've got
no way they're doing Silver
gotta-
Surfer out the gate.
well, who's in the first? Who's the bad guy for the first Fantastic Four movie? Kang?
Doctor Doom. It has to be.
I think if they do
going
Doom,
to be
he
Doctor.
has
They're
to
going
get
to
his own
introduce
movie.
Doctor Doom
He has
They're
to
gonna
get his own
introduce
movie
Dr.
if they
Doom.
do Doom.
for sure. They're going to introduce Doctor Doom, and then Phase 5 will have more Doctor Doom because in the end, what we're going to discover is that we're not beating Kang at the end of this phase.
No, not at all.
Kang is the next long-term villain.
Yeah.
So we're going to end like the next phase is going to straight up involve like imagine a world in which Doctor Doom is like, "Well, Richards, you dumb bitch. Looks like you need my help to defeat the future version of your great grandson." Like look, this is what I want.
You want
for my
Doom to be a anti-hero?
This only relates to JP. I'm sorry, Bronze.
Oh.
You haven't unfortunately played one of the greatest games of all time.
It's the first.
This is only a JP. This is a Final Fantasy thing. Doom and Reed Richards need to be the Sid and Nero of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I want that, like, I want a little bit of sexual tension. I want them to be like competitors in the world of like science, but also like, were they friends? No, those two definitely like had a thing in college.
That makes
you know what I mean? Like, I want them to be like, "You dumb bitch. Come on, let's go. We've got adventure to go on." And he's like, "I hate you." And he's like, "No, I hate you even more. Let's go." And I want them to be like, these two like have a thing a few years back? That's what I want. I want that in my Marvel.
It's not a bad idea.
It's a very good idea.
Look, casting is so crazy to consider for whatever the Fantastic Four universe looks like. So I don't know what that's going to be a shocker when they start casting Fantastic Four folk plus Doom plus everyone else.
Doctor Doom is at his best when he is the Vegeta of Marvel.
Yeah.
And he is like, "Look, I'm a bad dude, but I'm on your side. And I've also kind of got like some good stuff going for me." Like that kind of stuff. But then in the background, you're like, "Oh, he's going to betray everyone though. I can't wait." That's what I'm here for. Yeah. I want that, like, again, it's Sid and Nero. I want like, I'm on your side, but when the time comes, I'll burn this world to the ground. You're like, here for it. Yeah, that's what I want. I want that.
Sure. Makes sense. We'll see. We'll see who the new director is. I'm sure we'll figure that out, I'm sure Marvel will figure that out in the next couple of months and let us know. There's not really that much other news. Everyone's getting out of the way of the Multiverse of Madness this week. Benedict Cumberbatch came out and said that he has no plans to stop playing Doctor Strange in the MCU. He's going to stick around for a while, which is good. I don't know if they could fill that void. I think he's a perfect Strange. It's kind of like Iron Man casting where they nailed that the first time around. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And what else is there? I don't think. Got Tom Hiddleston talking about being in Thor 4. His response was, "I'm not even doing an Andrew Garfield. I just don't know." I don't know how you don't know. They're either in that.
Funny.
or
I'm
not
not
in
even
that.
doing
They
an Andrew
probably
Garfield. I don't
film
know.
so much like weird
Extra.
stuff that ends up getting used or not getting used. Who knows, honestly?
Yeah.
Like, what's her face? Lady from Goop. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh yeah.
She has an interview where she insists she's not in Spider-Man. Like,
Right.
up
She
and
doesn't
down.
remember her
She's just
co-stars.
Yeah,
like
she doesn't remember
she's, like,
anything.
swearing up and down she's not in Spider-Man, that she was in this other one. It's like, I'm pretty sure for them, like, they end up shooting so many little cameos and little bits here and there, like, I don't know, he might not be lying, he might legit not know if he's in it or not. He might be like, "Was that a Doctor Strange cameo I did? Or a Spider-Man cameo I did?
Yeah.
Or did I do a cameo in Moon Knight? Or you know what? I don't even know. Was it Eternals? I don't know. It was one of them. I'm in one of them. I don't know if they're even gonna use it though. Who knows?" And then that's the other part. We don't know what they film that they don't end up using.
Right.
True. Yeah. Good
That
point.
happens all the time too. So he might film stuff that never came up, and so now he's like, "Well, I don't know if any of this is ever gonna come up."
Yeah. Makes a lot
Yeah,
of
there's
sense.
definitely
Good point.
there's Bronze, you're absolutely right in that a lot of the time we will see the different actors show up in movies. But like, when it comes to Gwyneth Paltrow, she's in a scene with Robert Downey Jr. and that could be Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like she wouldn't know.
Yeah.
She didn't hang out with Peter Parker. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That could just be like, bro, I don't know.
Yeah. And like, who knows if they even use that cameo or where they're gonna use it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know when they filmed that, because this stuff is planned out so far in advance. They could have filmed that while they had them for an Iron Man movie, so she's like but then they use the footage in a Spider-Man movie, and she's not into the lore enough to care or to check or to ask, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe so. And then the last bit, not news, but this past week was the 3-year anniversary of Endgame coming out. If you want to feel old, that happened 3 years ago. That's a real long fucking time.
Everything that happened 3 years ago is just in a void.
Oh yeah.
I consistently talk about
Mhm.
2019 like it was yesterday
Yep.
because the last 2 years, frankly, do not count. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, they
I don't
don't.
give a shit.
Yeah.
Don't
They
care.
don't
They don't count.
Yeah. Little
Last 2
strange.
birthdays don't count. If you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I haven't dated someone in 3 years." Don't worry, guess what? Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
A little strange.
Yeah, you're all right. Don't worry. You clean slate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that's that. Let's move into the.
I've got some news.
Oh, you've got news? What's the news?
Well, it's kind of just a really cool factoid that was, put on my radar by
Let's
my
hear
good
it.
friend, Alvin. Uh, so since we're getting into Moon Knight,
Okay.
and we're talking about that, it's relevant to that. Moon Knight, we've all been talking about how great Oscar Isaac is at playing these 2 roles.
Uh-huh.
Did you know it's his baby brother
Yep.
that's playing the other role? And, to the point that they actually put prosthetics on his face. They got into the same amount of shape. You actually are seeing him in some scenes and a
He's
lot of,
not
behind the shoulder shots.
he's not doing the
He's
voice
actually
work though, right? He's just being a stand-in.
no, he's not doing the voice work, but he is doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he got in the same shape that Oscar Isaac did. In some places, it really is like him in the scene, and they're shooting, like, behind his shoulder. And
Sure.
in other scenes, even where Oscar Isaac is, um, talking to seemingly no one because it's a reflection, in an in-ear, he's still actually acting with his brother, and his brother learned both of the parts. He learned
Mm.
the Mark
That's
Spector part
fantastic.
and the Stephen Grant part, and he took vocal and dialect lessons to get the Stephen Grant accent down so that so I think, like, before we get into this episode and talk about how great Oscar Isaac is doing, we can't ignore that his brother is, like, actually a really big part of that
Yeah.
because, like, they've been acting scene partners in the entire in every episode. I didn't know the extent of it. I knew he was a stand-in, but I didn't realize, like, they were putting him in full makeup and, just how much of a part of every scene he was because he is in, like, every scene, and a lot of times they shoot it both ways, and a lot of the good jokes that were improvised from the first few episodes are actually his jokes. So, that's how
Hmm.
much he was a part of the collaborative process. Um, yeah, there's an interview. I can link it off to JP if you guys want the link. There was
Sure.
it's on Marvel's website, but it's just really interesting because he goes into talking about like how he would sit with Oscar Isaac like in the trailer, and they would workshop like how they're gonna do a scene. Um, and I had no clue he was involved to that extent, where this role might not be what it is if he wasn't there behind the scenes, like kind of being that perfect acting partner.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps, right? It makes all the difference. I mentioned to you guys on Twitter DM where I felt like I was
Mm.
watching this entire episode was insane because it was basically Oscar Isaac on camera with himself, but it was actually his brother, turns out.
At a certain point, what's beautiful about this episode, besides the episode itself, is that at a certain point, it really is just him talking to himself, but you
Yeah.
don't sit there and think about it. Like
Yeah.
none of that
I never
crosses your
thought about it.
mind. He's so good at the switch off between the two, and they've set it up so well. Again, I just need to say this before we continue. The last 3 episodes
Uh-huh.
are exactly what this show should have been compared to the first 2 episodes. That's
Yeah,
First
I
2
mean,
episodes are like the Marvelized version of Moon Knight, and then this last are like what it should have been from like moment 1. Just like, what? That's all. It's
I,
been great. I've been
I
so
agree,
happy.
but the marketing aspect, the marketing brain is like people are
Sure.
already falling the fuck off because this show's quote too weird. Like I've seen that like, oh, that show's so I don't know what's happening in that show. Multiple times from just like normal everyday Marvel fans. Or not even Marvel fans, just people that, you know, have seen a Marvel thing before.
Well, they're missing out because they're dumb
Yeah.
dummies.
So that's why those first 2 episodes are like that. But I 100% agree. The past 3, I would probably say 2 episodes are like they're the better part.
So good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had no clue they were gonna go this dark.
It was a fucking dark
Like
episode.
when people talk about, oh, darkness, like, oh, but there's a lot of darkness in the MCU. No,
Not
like
this, man.
not like this. Like we've
Y-
had, oh,
Uh,
Tony Stark had a rough childhood alluded to. We have things
yeah.
alluded to. We've never seen a mom grab a belt and hear her beat a poor child like that. That got me. I was like, this is actually the darkest they've ever gone in the MCU.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, I had a visceral reaction. I think most people probably did, of just like wanting to like strangle this woman. I've never had that reaction to like a character in the MCU like that
Sure.
strong, where I was just like, because I mean, I've seen characters like that on screen, but not in the like that's a true villain. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a fucking villain.
It's true evil.
Like
Yeah.
even yeah. It was, and I understand like, oh, she's grieving, but like the way she talked to him in every scene, I was like, I never thought that Disney would go there. Like it was in so many places. I was like, this is potentially probably more scarring to kids than a lot of other stuff is. Thanos was
Yeah.
probably less scarring than seeing how this mom talks to her child,
Yeah.
because she is talking to a child in every scene like that. It's like so legitimately upsetting that you don't even know how to like process that. And we're talking about a show where we've seen people die, we've seen all this other stuff, but like for some reason that was where I was like, wow, this episode is a lot. This is a lot to process.
It
This could
definitely
be
took me.
potentially triggering, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
totally. And it took me by surprise as well. There's a couple moments like that where it was like, oh, okay, this is where that whole conversation of like, oh yeah, this is the darkest thing we've ever done, blah blah blah. When they and it made me think back to the end of Civil War with Black Panther and Nemo, when he put the gun like he was gonna kill himself. They like don't actually put the gun anywhere near his face. In this episode, Oscar Isaac sits with the
Yeah.
gun below his chin for like a solid 30 seconds as he's talking to Conchu.
I'm glad.
Or
I'm like,
Zemo,
I'm
not
glad.
Nemo, sorry.
I'm glad
Great
that they
fart.
had like a moment of adultness, and like MCU for what it is, it's still Disneyified.
Sure.
Like there's still that like it's Disney, and I'm glad that we had this like if Disney's gonna pick up things like Daredevil and those shows and literally change Disney Plus to have like different rating systems because of those shows, the fact that they're like, all right, I mean, this is where we're at now. Tell us a story, and we're not gonna have people sit there and be like, too dark. The things that they tackled in this were great, and I love the fact that we got that scene for as messed up as it was. We also got the moment of Steven being like, bro, Khonshu's a piece of like, dude didn't give you a choice. He was like,
Oh, yeah.
join me or you're dead, bro. Like
Yeah.
that is, I was like, that's a very solid point. You've been manipulated by everyone. Like your entire life is like a mess, my man. And I love
And I
that
love that
they
Steven is the
tackled
one
that.
to point that out, right? Because
Mhm.
Steven is typically like, as far as the treatment of the show goes, or his treatment of the show goes, kind of the sheltered, kind of stupid one, and Mark is the smart, the street smart, capable one, right? And in that scene,
Mhm.
we see, well, no, because Steven was created for a very unique purpose, right? Which was to cope with this like horrible thing. And in that sense, Steven is very useful to Mark because Mark has this big blind spot of not being able to see that like this isn't his fault, right? Like he's so racked with guilt and thinks he truly believes he's a piece of shit in his own life to the point that he's talking about ceasing to exist, right? He's like, you know what? I'll let you take over this body. I just don't want Khonshu to be near Layla, right? It's like,
Right.
wow, you really don't think you have any redeemable qualities. You really do think like you are just the lowest order and that everything would be better if this personality you created, if this identity you created, Stephen Grant were to take over and Mark Spector never existed, everyone would be happier. And it's actually really sad and depressing. Like having the context we have now, it's not really a sacrifice or a bargain. It really is like I think he doesn't think he's worth anything, and that's really sad. Like,
Yeah.
I got emotional thinking about that.
Can I have a question, and I just started thinking about this when you brought up the two of them, Bronze. So in the episode, Mark says to Steve, because Steven's like, "Oh, I was just Mark, you just created me. I'm not real, right?" And Mark's reasoning is, I created you to like well, I guess the implication is he was created to deal with the abuse from his mother. But and he's like,
No, the
he says like
opposite.
I was protecting you. Well, he says like I was protecting you. Like the reason why Steven's so innocent and thinks he's talking to his mom but during the actual scene, Mark turns into Steven and then the mom beats him. So wouldn't Steven have those memories? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. It felt
No,
like
I think he created Steven so that like Mark experienced that, but he would go to Steven to disassociate from the act.
sure.
Mhm.
I'll have to watch it again. I'll have to figure out exactly what was going on there. Because also we are still missing whatever the third coffin was. We are now at a
So,
point where like I mean there's
I mean,
I don't know what's about to happen in this last episode.
Jake was in this episode. Like we saw Jake 3 times.
Pardon?
He was in the episode. When he goes to kill himself and he's all beaten up, that's a completely different accent. When he's talking to Harrow. That's Jake.
What?
Go watch the
What?
episode. He's got a Band-Aid on
What?
his nose and he's got a Brooklyn accent. And he brings up the thing to like I'm gonna kill myself. That's Jake.
Yes. When he's okay, yes. Okay.
That's Jake.
Yes.
It's
That
also
was my assumption as well. I think I had this thought that, like, you know, maybe when he disassociates, he's got Steven that is like his childhood innocence personified. And then I assumed he has another personality that takes the beatings.
and I think
And
that's
that's why when
Jake.
he's in
Yeah.
trouble,
Yep.
right? Like, because think about it, that third personality takes over when he's in trouble. Like when
Wait,
he's
whoa.
surrounded, when things are bad,
Whoa.
Yeah.
then he wakes up covered
Whoa.
in blood, holding a scarab, right?
That's
So
what
I
I
think
thought.
like that's that third personality. Like when when his brain goes into fight or flight, like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. Like when he has that almost childlike reaction,
Yeah.
like, you know, that recoil, that's when this like, you
Do
know,
you
difficult, this hard person comes out that's like,
Yep.
all right, time for business,
I agree.
you know?
Did you just answer my question then? Because again, the scene where the mom comes into the room with the belt, Mark turns into Steven, and Steven literally starts talking Steven like, it's me, Steven, right? Are you saying that Steven disassociates into Jake
Yes,
and
Yeah.
Jake
that's
is
my
the one who
theory.
takes the
Yes,
beating?
Yeah.
yes, that's my theory.
Amazing.
I would
Because
Love it.
agree with that too.
I
Makes
think
perfect
that
sense.
that's a panic response because neither of them seem to have recollection of this third personality, right? But it always helps
Yes.
them when they're in a jam. I think this third personality is probably like the most battered one because the abuse in Steven's life is threefold, right? Or in
Right.
Mark and Steven's life, it's an emotional abuse, which Mark Spector deals with, and then there's the physical abuse, and I think that's what the third personality deals with, is that physical
Yes,
abuse.
and that's
Yep.
why Steven still loves his mom, even though Mark is like, Mark turned into you, and then we saw the mom come after him. Checks out, makes perfect sense. And the bloody version, I was like, oh, that's an interesting
Yeah.
weird.
That's
That's
Jake
100%
to
him.
show he
And more
takes the
importantly,
shots.
I'm now convinced my wacky theory that I had that the next episode's going to start like back in the asylum,
It could.
and he's just going to be there,
Mhm.
and it's going to be Jake, and it's going to be a Jake episode. And like,
Well,
because
what's
Mark is
interesting is,
gone,
like
Steven is gone, it's going to be a Jake episode.
what's interesting here too is that we actually got a very important piece of writing from this last episode, which is that they all have the meta knowledge. There is some, I don't know if denial is the right word to use here, but there is some denial happening as well, right? Like
Mm,
Steven is saying, "No, no, no, my mom's alive, my mom's alive." And then when Harrow threatens to call her, that's when he's like, "No, she's dead." He knows. He has that. So before we get into
yeah,
the reads of like, well, then if Steven's dissociating, why wouldn't he know Jake? He probably does. It might be a mutual denial. Notice that they both look at that coffin and they're both like, nope. It could be very much like we both are aware we're both not unpacking that right now. We've chosen to like not talk about that. Like,
I mean,
so
it's
to a certain extent, they all have like this like meta knowledge of what's happening inside their collective, and they're
right.
choosing what is gonna be their reality and what they're going to accept out of that. Because I thought that was really interesting where Steven is like, "No, no, no, she's alive. I talk to her all the time. I talk to her all the time." And then he's like panicking as Harrow goes to call her. "No, no, 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 don't
Like,
bother her. No, don't bother her. She doesn't like being called." And then he's like, "She's dead." Like
Yeah.
he knows, right? They don't
I
have to show her dead body for him to know. He is just living in a reality in which no, she's alive and I talked to her.
I just need you to know that man, shout out to Derek in my chat who just said denial, not just a river in Egypt. And I want you to know that is literally where I'm at right now with this show. That
Yeah.
is the perfect, like Moon Knight. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. That is exactly where I'm at. That's
Good.
so good.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, because for all we know, maybe they don't black out when this third personality takes over and murders everyone.
Maybe they see it
They
happen.
might not. Maybe they see all of
Maybe.
it and they choose to look the other way. Because this is a survival mechanism. This guy saved them in a lot of bad situations. They may not like him, but they need him, you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Well,
maybe there's clearly some moments where they black out and they're like, "Uh-oh," but I think they recognize what has happened maybe. Um
Mhm.
yeah,
I
I'm
think there's
very
also soft take. Like, I think we saw Jake multiple times in the show. There was the moment where they're outside on the boat, and it's Stephen and Mark who are looking off the side. They had just spoken with Tarawet, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. And then it goes to what I think everyone. It looks like Mark, but he's like, "Oh, what if we just kill the hippo?" I think that's Jake talking. Like, why the fuck would Mark be like, "Oh, we'll just kill the hippo"?
I think that could easily just be
Because
Mark.
because he
Mark
has
is
like a
is
different, he has a
pragmatic.
soft accent, and then it goes back inside, and he's a little Brooklyn. Maybe I'm reading into it way
Maybe?
too much, but it was
Again,
really
I didn't pick up the
random.
Brooklyn accent, but the bloody version, I very much agree with you that that's him.
Yeah, yeah, that's like a hard show. I think of Jake, but he every once in a while
Mm.
he'll like he says random, seemingly random things that are just like really over the top and brutal and physical, and I often think that that's like Jake, peering through
Yeah.
or pushing through the psyche. Regardless, though, I thought all of that was great. I thought it was, it wasn't like a shocking reveal to see all that stuff, but the way that it like led up to all of the moments of like, oh, him handing the phone and saying his mom's dead. That was very well done. The moment where you get to see, what happened to his brother, that was very well done. They have like the small little sprinklings of Easter eggs throughout there with the Khonshu skeleton bird before they go into the cave, which is like, why the fuck did that exist? That was kind of strange. There's also a lot of weird callbacks to episode 1, which I'm sure you guys saw floating around the internet. The fish features the fish bowl or container that they keep that he keeps the goldfish in episode 1 features a boat that looks oddly specific to the boat in this episode that's on sand. You can see also one of the temples in the fish container. And then there's the moment where he's speaking to the younger girl in the museum, and she says something along the lines of like Egyptian mythology in the afterlife, and says like, oh, well, you died or whatever. And then he goes, well, wouldn't I know that I'm dead? That was like a really cool Easter egg to go back and watch. They do a pretty good job of making it not so easy to be like, oh, well, this is all real, or this is all fake, or this is all just in his head. And I love the fact that it's not so clear cut in terms of what is actually real in all of this, with all the like wild cuts that they do through this episode and throughout the whole show. So I really liked episode 5. I think it's the best episode of the show so far. And I'd go as far as to say like probably the best episode that we've seen in the MCU Disney Plus roster. It was good.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so before we started, I just went down a rabbit hole. Okay, so follow me on an adventure. As you were talking, I was remembering that, because you said back to the first episode, I was remembering that the trailer, and that in the first episode, it's when he's in that weird town with all the cult people,
Yeah.
and he like looks up at the ground, and his face has his like, raw. But there's several scenes from trailers before the first episode came out. One where I'm going to say Jake, is falling like off a cliff. We've never seen that scene. There's another angle of the fight in the cupcake truck. We've never seen that scene. I'm thinking some of those things that we, the moments were like when they killed the kids and that were chasing him and fighting him on the rooftops, right? Like that stuff. I think we're going to see all that because there's clearly footage of that.
Yeah.
And here's what's crazy. I think they're about to pull a big switcheroo on us because I typed in trailer, right? Because I was like, oh, I want to see this trailer. But then I scrolled down, and the very first YouTube video besides the like original trailer it's 3 hours ago, and it's for this episode coming up Wednesday.
Yeah.
Didn't watch it. Not going to spoil myself. But what I did see, and this is what's great, the Google metadata for this. If you go to Google and type in Moon Knight trailer, scroll down, the description says 3 hours ago, this Wednesday experienced the epic series finale of Marvel's, right? But then when you click the video, the same text says this Wednesday experienced the epic season finale.
Yeah, they played a little fast.
For the last 3 hours, they changed it.
Well, they did that with God damn it. What was the other? There was a show that was only supposed to be one season, and then they changed the finale thing to be like series instead of or to season finale instead of series. Was it Loki that
Loki?
Yeah,
and then they said
they've
Loki's
done that a
coming
couple
back
of
for
times
season
too.
2. That's what I think.
I don't know
get a season 2.
Maybe. I hope so. I mean, I hope you're right, but yeah, they've done it before.
It literally like everyone is saying that it said series finale, and they've been saying it's a standalone series.
It's a limited series.
Everything is changed to season finale.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, I'm here for it.
Could be. I hope they do more. Because then I
hope it leads to Midnight Suns, dog.
Well, I don't know where this show goes, right? Like last episode.
I don't care. I think that's what I love about it. Like, I think
you don't
it's
know
like,
or you don't care what it leads into.
I don't. At this point, I'm so invested in Mark and Steven. I really don't care how they tie into the MCU, and I think that's a triumph. I really don't care if they're ever in a movie. I like them. I just like
Yeah.
them. I get the Oscar Isaac effect too. Like
Yeah.
I think his costume's cool. I think his writing is cool. I think his villain is cool. I really hope we don't defeat Harrow this episode because I need to see him again. He's so good. He's such a perfect foil. Like, I love him
I
as the therapist because he seems, like, really professional, but also kind of, like, there's something off about him, but he also gives, like, doctor vibes. It's really hard to place it, Like, I think he
Ethan Hawke's
freaking
killing it. Like,
killed. He
the acting in
killed.
this,
Like,
yeah, it's all very
there's
good.
that scene where he's like, "Oh, with your mustache, oh, you think you're very you're trying to be a doctor," and he's, like, insulting the way he looks, and he goes,
Calls him a
"Hey,
Ned
hey."
Flanders.
Yeah, Ned Flanderized yourself. Yeah, and like his face, the way he plays everything is just like it's like it is a doctor, but there's an underlayer of sinisterness there that I think a lot of us can relate to in a way because
mhm.
it's like when a doctor tries to convince you they know your own body better than you, or they trivialize something that you're dealing with, right? Like this is something that most people in their life have probably dealt with at some point in time, feeling like your doctor's not working with you, they're working against you,
Sure.
right? Like like you're over here like, "Yo, I'm really depressed." And they're over here like, "Have you tried drinking water and going for a run?" And it's like,
Have
"Fam,
you tried
really? Are you
not being depressed? Forehead. Yeah.
yeah, the amount of hoops you have to jump through to actually get help, and, like, there isn't sinisterness there maybe, but it feels sinister when you're going through it, right?
Yeah.
Jesse's nodding, sure you know what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
and it almost feels like you're being gaslit, and in some levels, you're like, "Okay, they're just trying to check off boxes. I just need to check off these boxes, and then I'll get help." But a lot of times, you end up going to another care provider before you even finish the cycle with this one and going through those boxes again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy, especially when we look at women's health and how, horrible women's health is and how difficult it is to get diagnosed for a lot of things. Because, anyways, and we kind of experience that in the show where it's like in times that Harrow is trying to help
He's trying to be a good
like
guy, appearing like,
the guy,
yeah,
but it
appearing it.
comes off those vibes that we've all been through, where it feels like someone is gaslighting you or they're not trying to help you, they're just trying to get you to shut up, and he does it so perfectly that he nails that kind of soupçon of evilness that it's hard to place what his motives are, where you're like, is he just checking the boxes to be a doctor? Or is he actually just messing with them?
Yeah.
He
Just
has
really
this
twisting
like
that knife.
yeah, he has this it's like a friend who is also condescending. Like everything
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
saying
Sure.
sounds helpful, but at the same time being like, "All right, what's reality? Come on, is this rational or not like that kind of thing where you're just like, "Bro, cut it out."
Anyone who's been to therapy knows what that's like. People think therapy is relaxing. I don't know about y'all, fam. Therapy was not relaxing for me. Therapy was like what it is with Dr. Harrow,
Yeah.
where it's like, for me, it was every therapist session with about my inner monologue, where it was like, would you ever talk to someone else like this, Jasmine? Well, no. It's like, but you talk to yourself like this? Why is that? Because I'm not everyone else. Why don't you treat yourself the way you treat other people, Jazz? And I would hit a point where it was like Harrow. I'm like, shut up. I hate
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Same time next week. But also, fuck you. I literally hate you.
right.
And they are like, oh, that's not our tools. Let's talk about our tools and
They'd
how
be
we want
like,
to
"I think we had a breakthrough today."
examine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, why are we feeling this way today? Let's examine our. And my therapist used to do this thing where he would take out the small children's chair and he would put it in front of me when I was like being mean to myself. And he'd be like, imagine you are sitting in that chair. Now say what you said to me to that person in the chair. And I'd be like, this is fucking stupid. But every single time it worked where I was like, I can't say that to that. Like, he'd say that. He would be like, say what you just told me that you think you're not a good person or whatever. Say that
Yeah.
to like a version of you, a child version of you sitting in that chair. and I couldn't do it. But every
That's
time he'd
the
pull
let's
out
call
that
your mom
stupid
moment.
baby chair, I know. Every time he'd pull out that stupid baby chair, I would roll my eyes. I'm like, this is so dumb. It's an empty chair. You're gonna make me talk to an empty chair. And Harrow does that type of stuff where you're like, I don't know if this is good therapist stuff or if you're just being mean to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that's y'all, that's how this mental health game is. These people, you never know if they're just messing with you or if it's working. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the point. Is like you get to the point where you're like willing to be like, I shut up, I am a mess, and they're like, gotcha, bitch. I
Yeah.
think that's the whole point of
Checkmate,
like
motherfucker.
mental health. Is they're like, admit that you have a problem, and you're like, fuck it, I'm a mess, and they're like, check.
It's a let's call your mom moment. That's all that is.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Like,
really what it is.
yeah.
It's
Let's call your
really
mom moment.
like that. Let's call your mom moment is 100% a thing. I think a lot of people go through. Like, all right, let's have it. Let's get yourself right.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the scene when they were on the boat. Which, by the way, shout out to Hippo Mom. All the love in the world.
Yeah.
I'm curious about when she was talking about how the souls are being prejudged. Like,
Yeah,
is
like
it
what's
already,
happening?
Is that actually happening, or is that just
I
kind
assume
of
that's
fake happening?
Allusion to Harrow, like Harrow's plan has started to come into play.
Oh, for sure. But is it like? I mean,
Yeah.
like, are we too late? Kind of plan thing?
Yeah.
Or is
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a lot of questions that will be answered probably in terms of like, is time passing 1-to-1 in the real world compared to this, or
Right.
is it like what's happening ultimately?
Is it
I
a
think.
chilling vision of things to come?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or because in my mind, it's like, oh, he got shot, and then this whole thing is in his head, and then the next scene we see him is as he's falling back in the water is when he's like,
Yeah.
"You
That
kill me, bitch."
if you watch
know.
the trade or the season finale teaser that you're referencing, Jesse,
Sure.
there's actually not that many scenes in that trailer apart from like 3 to 4 that are from the new episode. They do a lot of callback shots.
Mm.
But you you're gonna get the big bad showdown, right? That it's gonna happen. There's gonna be a Harrow versus Moon Knight moment, 100%.
How long is this? All right,
It's
is there- there's
42
gotta be a-
42 minutes is what I saw in my chat.
42 minutes is the nah, that's bull. Pucky.
Yeah. So
42 minutes. There's not enough time.
The only episode that I've enjoyed in terms of a finale so far was in Loki, and I'm hoping that this it isn't a failure for me, but it's pretty short. 42 minutes is not that long.
Yeah, that's short.
I don't think we're gonna resolve Harrow. I think it would be a mistake.
There's a fight. I will tell you, Bronze. They do a fight. There's a big fight.
There's always a fight because it's MCU, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I think if they wrap up Harrow in this season, that's such a miss for them.
Well, I think,
That's
regardless
an L.
regardless of what happens to Harrow in the real world, it could always exist in Mark's mind as a therapist. Like, we could always see therapist Dr. Harrow forever.
That would be a
Okay,
wild
so let's get
twist.
to that therapist thing, right? Because this stuck out in my mind. We've now seen like some kind of version of this individual's entire life, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Of Mark, you mean?
Tavaret says, yeah, Tavaret says that, oh, the reason that this place looks like this is so that your human mind won't be fractured upon beholding like what it actually is, right? So this is just a construct to make you feel comfortable. Why is the construct an asylum? Like the temple aspects make sense because Steven is in love with
I-
with that, right?
I
So
think
I'm curious, like,
I think he
where
answers
do they
that.
conjure?
Yeah, didn't he
Remember,
say that in
because
the episode? That it's,
Mark and Steven are talking to Tara, and it's like, why an asylum? And Mark says, because we're insane.
yeah. I
Right,
think Mark
but
brought
like,
that on himself.
that's his place of comfort.
I don't know if it's a place of comfort. I think it's just like that's what he thinks he deserves.
Yeah, I
right? Like
think
it
that
goes
instead,
Oh,
like,
no,
back
that
to
tracks, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, like
Mark
Tarwitz
thinking he
says,
like deserves all of this.
I
yeah,
know Mark hates himself, which is really sad, but, like, for him to construct an asylum, like, so I guess maybe it's the idea of an asylum. I was like, "Does that mean he spent time in one?"
Yeah, that I don't know. We don't know what
maybe.
Like, 'cause
happens when he leaves
I'm
home.
curious. I'm almost curious if Jake is the one, if that third personality is the one that's, like, gone. I had this thought process where I was like, I
You mean
can
it gets stuck in
understand
the
the
sand?
No, like, when they construct that, like, mind palace, right? I was like, "Oh, I kind of understand why it's, like, an asylum crossed with a temple now," right?
Right.
Because that's kind of what Steven is contributing to this, and the other part I'm kind of curious what Jake is contributing there, and I was, like, thinking maybe Jake is part of what's contributing to this asylum. Like, I wonder if Jake has, like, gone and committed himself after murdering a bunch of people, or if he's, like, sought out therapy. Like, I'm legitimately
I
curious
I
if
think
he's,
Jake
like
is just unhinged. Like I don't I think of all of the three archetypes that we've seen, or the two archetypes that we've seen, I think Jake is like the fully out there, like the full 100% emotional
Yeah, that was the
version.
dude clearly banging on the coffin the loudest, like, going
Yeah,
crazy with
he's
the
going
"let me out."
crazy.
I would think based on the two things that we saw, the Egyptian themes are Steven's happy place, and the asylum is where Mark thinks they deserve to be. And
Sure.
so when Tarwit's like, welcome to the afterlife, it's, where you want to be. It's kind of like your imagination world right now. Um, all that's just the two of them, and it's like Mark wants to be, he thinks he's crazy, he deserves to be in the asylum. That's where he should be. That's his like punishment slash afterlife. And Steven is like, we're in Egypt and this is Egypt and this is Egyptian things, and I love that. And so it's the two of them combined. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like
well, it's
where they're
interesting
at.
because it's like a game within a game, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like poor Mark is the one who's getting fucked with the most. And I'm kind of curious how Harrow is playing into this. Like, I am curious about this. Like, is this just Mark's idea of Harrow that's interrogating him? Is this in some ways him
I think so.
dissociating? I kind of viewed it as that. I was like, maybe the situation is so stressful, he's removed himself from it, and he's put the villain in his life, Harrow, kind of in this opposition who's like forcing him to answer questions about himself, that like nasty introspection none of us want to do.
Yep.
And it's like kind
He's the
of
antagonist in that
heading
position.
yeah, because it's like there's so many times where he starts saying, "Oh, this isn't real, this isn't real." Then he gets pulled into it, then he gets pulled out of it again, then he gets pulled back into it. So I was like I was kind of
Yeah.
curious about that too, that like yeah, sorry. It's just a thought process. There was a lot this episode was really good. I really liked this episode.
Yeah, I've seen it twice. Second viewing was definitely a lot better. Um,
That song at the end,
well,
I went and
dude,
looked at
I
the
thought the
original.
entire ending sequence of like Steven going over freezing, and then Mark has like, I don't know, 2 seconds to comprehend what just happened, and then it like fades over into the reeds in real time, and he's filled with this like sense of I looked like happiness or like melancholy. There was a lot of emotional context on his face that I think you could fill a bunch of different words in. And then the music starts, and you're just like, that was a fucking fantastic way to end that
Oh
episode.
my god, the music for this entire like series has been stellar. I love the song so much. I went and looked it up and
Oh
looked
yeah.
at the lyrics. And it's even more heartbreaking if you look up the
Oh
lyrics
no.
because, it's I don't know how to pronounce it, especially because like, the way it's spelled,
Mm.
is how you would say "sat sat" in Punjabi or Hindi, which is like 7, but really it's sometimes, sometimes. And the singer, the original singer, she's talking about how sometimes she feels happy and sometimes she feels, like, at peace, but then other times she feels alone and very sad.
Mm.
And so it's almost like she's singing about the 2 different sides of this person, right? Like
Sure.
this Stephen Grant, and it made it even more sad to me, like, having that context and then hearing that song play and then seeing the end credits, having that context makes it, like, even more emotional. So I can only imagine, like, what native speakers felt like during that last part. I'm really happy, like, the director put that in for y'all because it gave you, like, a little bit of just a little bit of more, like, emotional connection to, like, know that, you know? I
Yeah.
don't know, I thought it was really cool.
Well, even without knowing the words, I still thought the song like was perfect for that moment. Um,
Bittersweet.
yeah, it was very. I'm so curious to know what happens now at the end of the show and like what that final scene looks like. Is it Moon Knight like running off into the night or some shit, or are they going to do something like we just saw in episode 5? Um, I'm excited to see how they wrap that up.
Yeah.
The heaven scene was also so cool because it's like his scales were finally balanced.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it all happens in like sequence, right? Like
Yeah.
Steven dies, it clicks in, and then it just fades over. And there's so much in like a 5-second sequence or 10-second
But
sequence that you have to think
but it
about.
also but it also seems like a false, like, how can his scales be balanced when there's clearly an
Because he
unbalanced
doesn't know about it.
person?
Well, no, that's a bad answer. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
That's the one question I hope we get an answer to, right? Because part of me thinks that like it's not about what, and I think this is maybe like delving into Egyptian lore and what they think like the afterlife is. It's not necessarily the gods or the powers that be judging if your heart is balanced. It's if you think your heart is balanced. And if it's that, then because he doesn't know that Jake exists, or he's forgotten, or he chooses to forget, or whatever, that he thinks that like he's finally at peace because this like second identity that he's created, although it's gone and he's sad, it's finally like balanced. So I don't necessarily know, like,
I took it as
it's up
like
for interpretation, I guess.
I took it as like Steven sacrificing himself for Mark made Mark realize that he had value
Mm,
and that that's what balanced the scales. That was my thought where I was like him seeing like Steven do that for him and also them kind of realizing they're the same person allowed him to realize like he's capable of good things too. Cuz like as they're fighting on that boat, you see Steven kind of more and more be like, "Well, I'm you." And he kind of like starts whooping ass a little bit, where
starts to
he's like,
accept it. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "We're the same person," and I think, like, watching him fight successfully and save him, I had this thought where, like, Mark was also like, "Well, Steven's a good person, and if Steven is me and I'm Steven, maybe I am not a horrible person either." And, like, that was the one thing Steven kinda wanted him to accept, and then, like, when he died, maybe it was like, "Okay, I get it. Like, you were willing to die for me, clearly there's something about me worth saving."
Sure. I like that
And I felt like
interpretation.
that's what made it lock into place is like, "Oh, okay, I'm not a complete piece of shit," you know?
Yeah. I like that interpretation because it doesn't get hung up on the idea that it's being weighed against a feather. It's like the person themselves are weighing their own life or their own situation rather than, whatever the weight of a feather is, right? Like
Well,
it's
and,
the
like, the idea of
personal
lightness can be
happiness. Yeah.
different, I'm not Egyptian, but, like, we in Punjabi, we say, like, whenever you cry, we say, like, "Dil halka ho gaya," which is like, "Oh, my heart is lighter." Like, when
Mm,
you have, like, a really big cry and I still call it that, like, I'm like, "Oh, yeah," like, sometimes you watch a sad movie and your heart is lighter because you just feel like almost like release, if that makes sense, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to, like or, like, talking to a friend, you might call it, like, "Oh, you're taking the weight off your heart," right? Because you feel like this pressure released or like this like emotional release. I kind of so maybe I'm misinterpreting because I view it as that like like to have a heart as light as a feather means that you've
transcended
processed
and
it.
yeah, and processed
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
like
Moved
yeah, it's
on.
not that your heart's perfect. It's that you've come to terms like you've processed up a storm, so your heart feels light like a feather.
Yeah. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people
it's
are
not.
are like getting hung up on the hearts being the same weight as a feather when it's a little bit more uh metaphysical. I'm not sure how to.
Well, it's not. I just wanted to go confirm and look this up. It's not. Like this. It's
Symbolic,
not
yeah, that's a good
sin
word.
based. It's not sin based at all. Like the before you even get to that point, there's another step where you literally have to go through this whole like, are you like absolved of your sins with this whole other group of things before
Oh,
your heart
before
gets
you
weighed?
get to the
Before you
chip
even
on
get
the doo-wop.
like, yeah, so
Hope
apparently
I'm pronouncing
that
it
you have to
correctly.
go and correctly name all 42 assessors of Mott and reciting the sins they did not commit in their life and all that stuff, and
Okay.
demonstrate all the judges' names, and then all this stuff. And then you have your heart weighed in front of Anubis, and then Anubis is like, if your heart balances with this feather, then we report you. Toth reports you, or Tot reports you to Osiris, and it's like, this guy's a good guy, and then you get to move on. And if you're bad, Amit eats your heart. Like that's the rules. So a lot of what we saw in this is like the whole like they throw you in the sands. That's like a kind of a Disneyfication.
Yeah,
Like, or
yeah.
maybe because there is no Amit, you just are put in the sands.
It's a pretty
But
liberal
yeah.
take on all of that. They pick and choose what they wanted for sure.
Yeah. But for the most part, it's like, we're along the lines of the way it is. Clearly they had to do some gods had to wear multiple hats in this one. Like they were like, yeah, all right, this is my job now, which I think is interesting because all the other gods are like trapped away. I think that's pretty fun. And apparently, the only other thing I think is interesting is that apparently there are multiple ways to get into the afterlife, and the boat version is reserved for pharaohs and kings of old. So there you
Oh,
go.
okay. Might be like
Mm,
an Avatar thing then. Maybe that's why
yeah.
his like status was elevated. Or he
Maybe.
died right next to Alexander the Great.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe it was a location thing. Um, I don't know. A lot of different.
The Uber was already there.
Yeah, a lot of different takes of that. I if it's 42 minutes, and I know that there's a scene at least where he's fighting Harrow, and I know that there's another scene where he's doing something else. How did we get from the Field of Reeds to the culmination of the show where this fight is happening? We got to see some. We got to see some
question.
stuff. And we know that there's like Anubis is probably not there, right? Like he's probably been
There's no
imprisoned.
Anubis. Anubis is imprisoned. We
Yeah,
see that statue multiple times in multiple scenes. Here's the thing, most of the fun gods have been imprisoned. Most of the ones that we all think of as like, ooh,
yeah,
that's in prison. Only the big three, and then a few of like the perfunctory gods that are like, we don't really do much. We kind of like
yeah,
don't rock the boat gods. They're still around. And then like the big top three gods.
yeah. I don't know. And it would be cool if I'm trying to think if it would be cool if like no time has passed and he just like stands up in that room and that's where that fight happens. But that would be kind of silly because we saw those souls being judged. So I think time has definitely moved forward. I think he's definitely gonna like wake up um in that pool or something.
Yeah.
He's definitely he's got to find Conchu, right?
Yeah, he
Like
has to get Conchu
gotta
back.
get
He has
Conchu
to get the
back.
suit.
He's got to get the
So
suit from Conchu, and I think
yeah.
by going and finding Conchu, he's gonna find a lot of other gods at the same
Time
time.
out. Question. Do you think they're going to pull a switcheroo and the person in the coffin is going to end up being Conchu and Jake is going to be the like, see you next season?
I could see that. Yeah, I don't necessarily think they have to
They
like
can keep Jake as
outright
like an
name
Easter egg
Jake.
the entire time. They don't have to reveal that.
Yeah, and that could be a post credit scene, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like there's Mark or somehow Steven comes back, and they're doing whatever, and then it shows the like transition into Jake, and that's where the credits end. I could totally
Yeah, it
see
could
that
just
being
be
an extra
like
credit.
it could just be like I don't know, Blade shows up and is like, "Hey, Steven Amok, you dumb bitches," and they're like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Oh," and Blade's like, "Oh, you're amazing," and they become best friends.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know like what the extra credit scene is. If it's just a Jake scene and that's it, I'm okay with it. But I would think that they try to bring him into we've only had like 2 connections to the proper MCU. And so I think there's going to be something that like drags him into it, or some sort of like line that is cast out that could pull him into something like the Midnight Suns or Blade or Black Knight or whatever.
And to confirm, this is post snap, right? His passport,
as far as we know,
was
yes.
granted. The passport for Mark was granted during the snap,
As far as we
right?
know.
All right.
I don't think it's ever been confirmed in the show. They've never mentioned snap
Someone has to.
or post aliens or anything like that. But I think
There's
so.
got to be someone clearly.
You know, I will say this. For as much as I like these like last 2-3 episodes, I agree with Jesse. I didn't like the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
I still think, because I told y'all I've been rewatching Loki.
Right.
I still think the reason that I enjoy Loki so much is it's the only Marvel show so far that to me had the pacing of a show and not a movie chopped up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like it felt almost like Doctor Who-y in that they even have like episodes that feel like this is the love episode, this is the side episode. Like it actually feels like it was structured like a show versus even this feels like a movie that they artificially extended in places and now they have to like make up for in other places, you know? That was like I
Right.
think that was my big disconnect with Hawkeye. Like that was like I was like this is a movie. This is not a TV show. This is a movie. Everything about this is giving movie. And I really do feel like it's a different medium. And
Yeah.
if you try to turn it into a show, it to me just doesn't work. Um, and I felt the same way with Captain America. I liked Captain America more than I liked Hawkeye, but
Same.
once again, I was like, this is giving movie. It's not giving TV show. So then you have episodes that are just eh, they're not great, but then you have other episodes that are really good. And it's like, well, yeah, because it's like they took different parts of a movie and chopped them up. So each episode doesn't really stand on its own. Whereas I feel
Right.
like Loki, for me, in my opinion, was the only show that like every episode really did stand on its own.
Sure.
I know some people hate like certain episodes of it. I don't understand those people. I liked the so-called boring episodes. I thought even the boring episodes were just very good. I'm feeling that in Moon Knight where after like seeing the last 2, like, because I was thinking about when you're saying you watched it twice, I was like, oh man, I would really like, you know, I would really like to watch this again. But then I think about watching episode at like the beginning and I'm like, oh, maybe I don't want to.
Well, I watched them
Maybe I don't want to
twice in the
watch the
same
whole
week.
series again.
Yeah, I watched them twice in the same week, so it's a different viewing experience than seeing episode 1 through 5 and then going back and watching episode 1 through 5, right?
I was
Right.
debating doing that, but that seems like work. But watching this last episode does not seem like work. And rewatching Loki has not felt like work. I've
Yeah.
not hit a point where I'm like, oh, I have to get through this part. I'm just like, oh, this show is just an enjoyable show. What is that even? And I really do think it's pacing. I will never get over the fact that I feel like this show had so much hype going into it. I'm not saying it's not hype now. I'm saying I am not seeing the wave on Twitter after the new episodes dropped that I was seeing with Loki and with
Sure.
WandaVision. I feel like with
Oh,
this one,
viewership's definitely down.
yeah, it's dropped, and I think it's because the first episode to me was a fumble, and it was just the trailer. Like, I remember, like, I was actually watching back our MCU Crew, I was like, "Was I tired that day?" And then at the very end, I'm like, "Well, there's just nothing to say because it's just the trailer." And I was like, "No, it's same, past bronze, same. There's not a whole lot, you know?" And it sucks because, like, I mean, I've done D&D campaigns like that where, you know, there's times I feel that way about Battle for Beyond where I'm like, man, if y'all stick around for episode 3 and 4, this
Yeah.
is a great series.
If
But I oftentimes go back and I wonder, like, was there a way for me to get them harder in those
if
first
you
2
go back
episodes that I failed, you know?
if you go back and watch pretty much all the Disney Plus MCU shows, episode 4 and episode 5 are kind of interchangeable for being the quote best slash biggest episode, right? Like that, it's always the climax of the series. Um, over,
D&D shows are like that too, you know?
it's just
I
how it
feel like
is.
sometimes
Yeah,
yeah, but people you gotta get them in the first
Well, the
episode. Sometimes that's hard.
the difference though is that Loki and Wanda have years of
they're
built-in
established. Sure.
fandom. They're established. People are very excited for them. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, yes, they are established characters, but they are characters that have always been side characters. And you have to really want to like experience their journey together. And, unfortunately for them, they had the whole pandemic changing the entire plot of the show, last minute kind of things.
Right.
There's a lot of problems there. And so, and then there's the Hawkeye show, which is like, I mean, who was like, this is what I want. So it's a totally different experience for that. And I think Moon Knight is the first kind of new thing they're doing. And so that Moon Knight needs a fan base. And so it'll take time.
Yeah.
And
I
I think
think
it's
they
sure you can
also,
succeeded
like
though.
extrapolate that.
I think they also, like, kind of reversed it though, like, in the sense that WandaVision, the first episodes first of all, were very short. I think people forget
Yes.
how short that fricking
Under 30
series was.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, like, super short.
Mhm.
Um, so people don't feel as invested. It's 15 minutes, it's a freaking trailer, right? But I feel like the first couple of episodes of, WandaVision, they made weird for the sake of making weird, and then they went very formulaic, like, "Oh, don't forget, this is Marvel." Whereas
Right.
with Moon Knight, I feel like they went very formulaic from the beginning to be like, "Hey guys, this isn't that weird," and then they got into the really cool, weird off the wall shit, you know?
Mhm.
But I feel like they went the opposite with it. I almost feel like if they had done some of this more Asylum stuff in the beginning or not even like just touchstones like that, I feel like that might have been a stronger hook to start with. But I think they were afraid because Moon Knight is a weird character. He's not
Yeah.
like,
Well,
even for comic book fans, he's a weird character. He's not
structurally,
like
structurally, episode 5 is a very not normal. The first 5 seconds are boys calling out for help in like a dark chasm. And then that's never mentioned for like 10 minutes. And it goes straight from there to an Arthur Harrow scene in like a psych ward. And if you go back from where that ended last episode, like, it doesn't make any sense. And so I think it would be really exciting if they started off the season that way. I just don't know if that works for like, the normal MCU viewer, the person that sees this on Disney Plus, which is kind of wild for me to think about that someone just casually browsing Disney Plus is like, oh, what's this Moon Knight thing?
The
Right. But
interesting
that
the
totally
interesting
exists.
thing
That's
is
a real
like,
person.
I like when you start out weird. I don't think you need to buffer people with your weirdness. I think that's what was so intoxicating about Loki, is they just really throw you in the thick of it from episode 1.
Yeah.
And you've got, like, this Miss Minutes is the most out of wall insane thing I had seen in the
yeah,
MCU at that point in
crazy.
That's
time.
true.
She's like, "Hey, y'all," literally episode 1, "Hey, y'all, there's the multiverse. These are the timekeeper." Like, they are not sitting there waiting until episode 5 to tell you this. They tell you episode 1, everything you know to be true. Like, they show the Infinity Stones as paperweights. Like, in episode 1, they're like, "Everything you know to be true is wrong." It would have been cool to be like, "Gods are real. This is it." Like, just to be that off the wall crazy in episode 1, but instead I feel like they were like, "Gotta buffer people in,"
Yeah.
which is kind of, I guess, understood when you see, like, how traumatizing the show can potentially be, because it is the darkest subject material that has ever been broached in
In the
this
MCU,
in this
for sure.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we have
You
a
are
truly
correct that
traumatized character.
they should have had some sort of like something in the first episode that alluded to a bigger narrative, because the thinking back to WandaVision was weird to start. You're like, what is this? And then they had Kitty from that 70s show lose her mind. And then at the end, someone was watching it. And you're like, what the hell did I just watch? And like those
Yeah.
two moments upend everything you just saw. And now you're like, what? And now you're interested in what's going on. And I think Loki had its like weird, bizarre moments where like, I gotta see where this goes. Plus, it's Loki. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, what is gonna happen? And you have the backstory of like the Tesseract and stuff. That checks out. The thing they should have done here, you're absolutely correct. They should have had some allusion to where the bigger narrative was going, because the first episode is straight up one giant, like, hey, you're not going to know anything when this ends. Because the entire time you're watching Steven be confused, and then he is like, what's going on? What's happening here? And at the end, a guy in a mirror is like, let me take control, bro. And he's like, okay. And then becomes Moon Knight and beats up a Anubis dog, and then the episode ends. And you have to wait a week to even figure out where what any of that meant. If you are brand new to Moon Knight, you don't know what the hell you just watched. It is all mystery, but not in a gotcha, got my hooks in you way. It very much feels like Bronze, you mentioned D&D. And one of the craziest things about D&D is it's very hard. I don't know how you would pull this off to do a first 15-minute hook in D&D. I don't know how you do, because D&D is designed for friends sitting around. We're going to play 40 hours of this campaign along. There's no way to do a hook to get them. I can think of a million hooks, but they all involve and then at the end of the first session, something happens. But you have to have an audience sit through an entire first session, which is very similar to Moon Knight, which is you have to be willing to sit here and then be like, oh, that was interesting. I guess I'll see what happens next time. There is no gotcha. And it could have been stuff like that. It could have been the screaming voices, or it could have started in the Institute. It could have started in the White Walled, oh, damn, if we would have had, is any of this real from moment one, that would have been a different story.
I agree.
If we would have had maybe he was still in the asylum, and maybe that's what's been real the entire time. The asylum doesn't show up till episode 4, so we're all immediately thinking that's not real.
Yeah,
this isn't real.
We are immediately thinking that. But as the episode goes on in 4 and 5, I'm thinking oh shit, this actually could be real, right? So it works in kind of the inverse way for me.
But I feel like we are predisposed to be no, Harrow's a villain.
Yeah.
This is bad. And
Sure.
if there was some sort of scene where at the beginning,
that
instead of
happened,
Harrow's
and
feet
then
in the glass,
you forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some sort of scene where it was instead of Harrow's feet in the glass, we had a scene where it was Harrow in the White Room, preparing notes.
Yeah.
On
it would have made it. Yeah. You're
Steven
right.
or Mark. That would have been
and
whoa!
saying oh, I think you guys are coming at this from the view of people who've seen the comics. I don't think that's that at all. I think y'all are misinterpreting. I think this is coming at this from, God, I wish more people were watching this show. How could they have possibly been hooked? I think you guys are misinterpreting this as an unfair criticism. It's not. It's the opposite. Open your third eye. Open your third eye. This is
what could have
broken fans
people
that are just why aren't more people talking about the show? Why aren't more people watching the show? Let's look at the first 2 episodes and try to figure out why they didn't stick around, because this is one of, I think between all 3 of us, this is probably one of our favorite episodes of anything MCU related.
Yeah.
Great.
Right? Yeah.
So it's heartbreaking when you're you love this thing and you're but why aren't other people talking about this? Why?
I mean, here's the thing.
No,
people were talking.
I think that's what this is.
People definitely were talking about it. If you go and look, if you judge anything by number of Reddit comments on the main Reddit for the conversation thread, this was super high in comparative to almost every other thing that MCU's done. So it's fine in that regard if you're using that as a metric.
I feel like there's a
I think my metric is just having so many people. Yeah.
Every time there's a show that I automatically love, it's always a show that quickly, it starts out very, very popular.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, this show's wild. And then very quickly, dramatically falls off because it's suddenly you have to sit there and watch oh, I don't know what happened that entire episode. And I won't know what that was about for 3 episodes. And now I have to sit here and be challenged in what I'm watching. It's tough. It's tough for people to do.
I mean,
every time I fall in love with a show, I'm like, have you seen all of it? And they're like, no, I stopped watching in season 2. And I'm like, why? Oh, you're missing the best part.
That's the pop-off effect, right? There's only there's the high point, and then there's did people stick with that afterwards because, the pop-off effect started to die down. I don't think, Moon Knight's pop-off effect was episode 4 or episode 5. So I don't know if people stuck around for that. But like I said, we don't know the numbers around that. I think they did come out and say that like the premiere was down, which makes sense. It's not a hero that people know. It's not, it's not a big name from the movies that has hooked people in. But I guarantee you, if he pops up in some movie, people will be like, "Who's this Moon Knight character? Oh, he's got a Disney Plus show. Let's go back and watch that." Right? Like that's probably the route
Right.
they'll go. I just don't know what that hook is. I don't know where this character like if it, if you see Moon Knight pop up in like a Doctor Strange thing, that's a wild thing for 5 seconds of a conversation between those
I
two
still
characters. Is
feel
like,
like
what the fuck does that
I
even
still
look like?
feel like this show is a feat, and it did it so quietly. If that makes sense. In the sense that, like, so, like, diversity has been, like, boiled down to, like, a marketing or publishing point, you know?
Hmm.
And you have movies that are so, like, "Blah, blah, blah, we're so diverse, we're so diverse, that we're so diverse," and, like, it's really just reskinned white characters, if that makes sense?
Sure.
Um, in this, it's like, no, they actually made a show that has, with a director that has the cultural context and know-how to make something that actually brought in people from other cultures, from musicians to, like, to every aspect of the freaking show, right?
Yeah.
And, like, they didn't sit here and say, "Oh, this is one of our most diverse things yet." So I think, like, Moon Knight is important from that point of view as well, because there are people out there that are watching this show that probably never thought that these songs that they enjoy, or that this music that they enjoy, or that this language that they speak would ever be in the film in this context, right? Because when we look back at Iron Man 1, Hindi, that's the language I speak, was the generic language of the terrorists, and it was very confusing to me because I was like,
Right.
"Are these this is weird?" Okay, so to go from Iron Man 1, where the Middle Eastern people, the brownies or the baddies,
Yeah.
to go to this, that is huge, and the fact that they didn't sit here and virtue signal it, they just quietly made this dope ass show with these dope ass visuals and this dope ass music, and it's full of brown people. It's very fucking cool, and I think that's why I wanna see it do well, because Miss Marvel, I hope it has this masala, but so far it doesn't feel like it does to me, personally, speaking as someone from the culture it's portraying. It feels like it is like, "Hey, look at us. We're diverse. Look at us." Versus this, I feel like they just came out and they just quietly did it,
Yeah.
and I've fallen in love,
I
It's
will
just so
say,
beautiful.
for as well as they're doing it, this last episode did have the rule of 3 that Marvel always does, and it's so annoying to me. And it's my only nitpick is they were just like, at 3 points, they always do this. At 3 points to get it across, they were like, mention Mark is Jewish, show Mark is Jewish, and then at one point have him like throw. It was. I was just like, the old Marvel, the old like Disney rule of 3, just to like hammer it home. And they always do it, and it's very funny to me. Like it doesn't matter at all. It's just it's a thing they always do, and I'm like, did it again. Marvel and
Yeah.
Disney, they always are just like,
But
haha,
they
remember, there's a
almost
rule
kind
to
of,
this.
because there was a lot of upset upon, like the casting and stuff, with some people saying, "Well, it should be a Jewish actor." Like there was like conversation about that,
Right.
which to me
Right.
was very weird because, like, having spent half my life in India, you play different religions all the time. Like in Bollywood, this is not a conversation. America is very weird to me. In Bollywood, you have Muslims play Sikh people, you have Sikh people play Hindu people. Like, there's a movie that's very famous called Veer Zara, in which a Hindu woman plays a Muslim woman, and a Hindu man, or sorry, a Muslim man plays a Hindu man in that film. So, like, the idea of, like, oh, trying to cast an actor from the faith, that's, I'm sorry, from my part of the world, that's very weird because we just play
Sure.
everything all the time. So I don't understand the American perspective on that, just full disclosure. But there was, like, conversation about, like, are they even gonna go into this? Like, is he gonna be Jewish? I feel like they couldn't do that scene without touching on it because, like, to show that kids
Sure.
passing, they had to show them sitting Shiva, right? So, like, they show that, but then they also show you why it hasn't come up again, which is that it kinda shows, like, Mark's disconnect from his religion at that point, right? Like, it kinda shows him, like, being like, "Oh, this is not, because I've cut ties with my family, I've lost that part of my culture as well. And that's something that a lot of people deal with. Like there's a lot of people who are
Mhm.
deeply religious or that are deeply rooted with their culture, but then like the second they stop talking to their parents, they lose that connection and they feel kind of alienated by it. So I actually really liked how Marvel handled that because I'm sure there's probably people watching us right now that have had that experience. Like, oh yeah, I used to go to church all the time, or I was really involved, in my religion, and then they stop talking to their parents either because like they're queer or they have another falling out, and then they like lose that and they don't have
Mhm.
like that connection to it anymore. And so to me, I was like, okay, so this explains why it hasn't come up until now. Like, why has this never, and it's like, oh, it's because maybe Mark feels disconnected at that point, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was like a really long tangent.
No. I'm still digesting everything. I think that's what both me and Jesse
No,
I feel
are
like
I
just
saying. So it's
touched on
very
a
well
lot of
said.
topics there, some of which are
yeah.
probably controversial, like Bronze thinks everyone should play every religion. I don't know. I'm Indian. We do it. We do
No,
it, okay?
I think you're absolutely correct. I think being able to see the background of a character and being able to do it well is good. Yeah, so like no qualms here. I I'm glad we got to see like I don't know. Here's the thing, like I don't know what with Mark as a character, I don't know what we get to see. Like I want to say I'm glad we got to see some of real Mark, you know what I mean? But I don't know what's like, you know what I'm like, I don't know
You
how
don't know
much of
what's
that is
real.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the reality of things are. Like the relationship with his father, right? Like there's a lot more that I would love to for them to deep dive in, but also how we have an unreliable narrator. So like I don't know how we how
Yeah.
we handle a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it all gets wrapped up this week and come back and talk about it. I saw this, by the way. I wanted to share this real quick before we wrap. Let me take down the spoiler tags real quick. Someone we were talking about like Disney Plus shows and pacing and whatnot. Someone made this on the Marvel subreddit, which is Captain America and the Howling Commandos, the Disney Plus series, and then they broke it down into the episodes of what it would look like. And it's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true
Yep.
how it would work out. Granted, it's 10 and not 6, but like that's exactly what this would be. As everything is just named like Operation and then Victory.
We've been saying that for a while. They're doing the
Yeah.
old thing where they're like, "All right, let's make a movie and cut it into 6."
Yeah.
And and it allows them to take more time and like have moments, which is fine, but it also leads to things that you can see their pacing issues. I look, I love the entire like I love what we've gotten so far with Moon Knight, but there are pacing issues. There's some moments where it's too
I
fast, and there's some
yeah.
moments where it's too slow, and it's because they're just like we made a movie and then we're just playing in the margins now.
Here's I saw this conversation obviously is one that we've been saying for a long time, and I think the greater MCU fan base has been saying for a while. But I feel like with Moon Knight, it's really picked up steam. I saw a lot of it trending. They got to do 9 episodes for these Disney Plus
Yeah.
shows. Like, get the fuck away from 6. I understand it's it's budget stuff, and like, these shows aren't cheap and all the excuses, but like, get the fuck away from 6 episodes. It feels every finale has been worse than episode 5 for all of these shows thus far, and it's because it always feels rushed. And I guarantee you we're going to be back here later this week talking about episode 6. We're going to be like, man, they really rushed the shit out of that arc, didn't they? And it's going to happen.
They have to resolve like look at where we're going. This is the same thing where we talk about Doctor Strange and all the different things that have to happen in that movie.
Yeah.
Look at what has to like in order to do a solid season finale. We have to address the mentioned third person that we have not actively been told this is who this is on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we have to at some point see them.
We have to see
right?
what's in
Or,
the
like,
third coffin. I think maybe
yes,
a better way
they
to
can't
state
show
that.
the third coffin and not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We have to get out of the psych ward. We have to figure out how to reunite our Steven and Mark. We have to save the world from Harrow. We have to like get Khonshu back. There is so much that and we have to find Layla again. There's so much that needs to happen in this last episode, and you're telling me there's only 42 minutes? It's going to be rushed.
That's what
no
someone in
matter
chat
what,
said,
it's going to be rushed.
I'll verify. How long is episode 6 of Moon Knight?
42 minutes? It's too short.
Between 42 and 45 minutes, according to MCU insider Amit Chudhari. So there you go.
It doesn't seem like there's not enough time to tell it all properly. And I think you're totally right. 6 episodes is doing a disservice. Start doing 9.
Yeah. You get more people subscribed for longer instead of I guess a month and a half. You'd get 2.5 months ish. Maybe it's a money thing, actually, now that I think about it, because 6 weeks of a show is at least 2 months subscribed. And if you do 9 weeks, that would be 2 months of subscription plus a third month if you want to see the finale. I guess is how that would work out. And so maybe people would be less likely to subscribe for a third month for the amount of I don't know. There's probably a marketing breakdown like internally for Disney on why they do 6, I bet. A marketing and like production cost breakdown. Anyways. Jesse, what are you looking up?
I'm trying to the total runtime. I'm trying just to see what the runtime, because everything
of all the episodes added up.
Yeah, all the episodes added together. How long are they? And I'm trying to figure it out. So WandaVision is 9 episodes, but it is a total of 5 hours and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Loki is, how many episodes was Loki?
6.
Loki is about 6 hours.
They're all about 6 hours.
Right. So the long ones, because the reason why I looked this up is because Bronze earlier, maybe it was you, someone earlier mentioned when we were talking about WandaVision that the first episodes, we got 2 episodes right out the gate with WandaVision. It was 9 total, but those first episodes were very short. They were like under 30. So even though we got more episodes in the end, we didn't really get more content.
Right.
So maybe that's what they're doing. And they're like, oh, well, there's, we gave you an hour episode of this one, or we gave you 42 minutes of this. And so maybe in the end, it all checks out. But no matter what, it feels like we're rushing. And I don't know why, but yeah, Loki felt really solidly paced. WandaVision felt solidly paced. And since that point, everything's felt rushed. Since then, everything's felt rushed. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. What's the next TV show after this? Is it Miss Marvel this fall?
I think so.
Okay. Is that this summer or this fall? Is that during Thor?
Miss Marvel is June 8th, 2022.
And Obi-Wan is Obi-Wan's this May, like in this next couple of weeks, right?
Obi-Wan Kenobi is May 27th. Whoa, these are together? That's interesting.
So they're happening at the same time?
They've never done that before. Yeah, they've never released 2 at the same time.
Disney Plus subs are going to eat that month. Damn. A lot of good stuff. Yeah. All right, well, it'll be a fun week regardless. We got the final episode of Moon Knight coming out Wednesday. We got Doctor Strange on Friday. We're going to try and record an episode because I am out next week. I got to go to New York Sunday through Tuesday. Of course, this show falls on Monday. We're going to try to record something Saturday evening. It'll go live on YouTube at the normal airtime of this show Monday. There will not be a live stream unless Barry or someone wants to tackle that. We'll see if we can figure out that happening. We'll let you know on Twitter, but we will still record. There will be an episode next week. We're going to try our hardest. I'm going to see if these guys will go and see the movie before Saturday. I think Jesse said he was in, so we gotta convince Bronze now off stream.
I'm seeing it
I'll
Thursday
do
night.
it. I'll do
Okay,
it. I'll do
so
it.
we'll record
Yeah.
around Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, or 10 p.m. my time, 11 p.m. Eastern. That's around 8 Pacific for you guys. You guys being Jesse and Bronze.
All right.
I will be fresh from the movie. I'm seeing it like 6
I
or
just hope
7.
it's good, man. I'm getting anxiety. This
You
is
have
like the movie I've
anxiety
been
over
looking
it?
forward to. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
I
good.
never look forward to movies. Okay. I'm always like, I'm gonna assume the worst, and then I go in to an experience like Spider-Man, and I love it.
I
I
think
love
it's
it
gonna be
because I went
good.
in with no expectations, and it's just pure joy. This is the only one where I'm like that nerd that's like, I've been waiting for this. I'm never one of you fuckers, but this time I'm like, fuck, I'm one of those losers now. And now
We
if
all
this
know how
movie
much you
isn't
love
good, I'm gonna
Doctor
be
Strange.
sad,
Well, hey,
Yeah.
I do.
we'll get first
I
impressions
do.
tonight at the red carpet. Make sure to tune in.
I don't want to know other people's impressions. I
Oh,
just
I'll be
wanna
tweeting
go
them.
in
I'll DM them to you when those
Hey, can I give
social
you a
media
spoiler of what
embargo.
those impressions are gonna be?
Just,
What's that?
Even if the movie is
please be
the
good, man.
trashiest trash that ever trashed, the impressions are gonna be like, it's not for everyone, but I liked it. No matter what, get
It's
ready
true.
for
They are
everyone's
pretty
impressions
samey.
online are gonna be like, I thought it
Yeah.
was a great movie, but it's not for everyone.
I think that's
Yeah.
why like Eternals didn't really break my heart, because part of me was very excited to have the first Dissy like MCU character pop
Yeah.
up. I was like, "Oh, Camille, work, girl." And then but I didn't have expectations. Then I watched it and I was like, this movie was mid, but Kumail was great. And I want to be able to
Did
do
you
that. Like I like
see?
being able to do that.
Did you see the filming of Guardians Holiday Special that took place in LA this past week? When
No.
someone had a cell phone and recorded Drax and Mantis walking along a Christmas up street, and on the street there are movie posters of the next Kango movie, and that's what Drax and Mantis are there to see. They're going to the
That's cute.
premiere of the
Here's the
Kango
thing.
movie.
I will watch a Kingo movie, like
But
unironically.
how does that, like, how do we get there? How do they know each other? I'm so curious to know where that
It might
intersection.
just be an Easter egg because maybe everyone was like, "Who doesn't like these movies? Who
Maybe.
doesn't want to go see
Yeah.
Kumail in a movie?"
Yeah.
I wanna
I was excited to see that regardless. Because maybe that's maybe that's a Guardians thing. Maybe we start to see some Eternals in the Guardians world.
Maybe my fanboyism will make me like this movie no matter what. That's how I'm feeling about Moon Knight a little bit. I
Could
came
be.
into this and I said, "Listen, Oscar Isaac is a cutie pie. If you know, you know. Oscar Isaac is a
If you know, you know. If you
Oscar
know, you
Isaac
know.
cutie pie, okay? Like, I've let y'all have your Chris Evans and your what have yous. They do nothing for me. Oscar Isaac, though, he is he's such a cutie pie, and I love him so much, you know? So I came into this like, oh goodness. I don't know if I'll be able to objectively look at this film because he's so cute. Like your Chris's, your 1800 Chris's, they do nothing for me, chat. I'm sorry. I can't even tell them apart. But Oscar Isaac senpai, he's so cute. Haha.
I need you to know that you saying this very attractive man who's incredibly talented and an international superstar, like if you know he's pretty. He's pretty good.
Listen,
Like
some people
if you're
have really
aware,
bad
if
taste.
you know,
I'm sorry. Listen, Jesse, some people have really bad taste, okay? They don't have the goodest taste. They have the bad taste. They have broken taste bud syndrome. But
that's
Oscar
cute.
Isaac is objectively the most handsome man in the MCU. I'm sorry.
Have you seen Ex Machina? Have you seen the movie?
Oh no, I need to watch it. It's on my watch list.
What?
It's on my watch list.
How do you
Yeah.
call yourself an Oscar Isaac fan and you haven't seen
It both that movie. Can I just tell you the first time I saw that movie was on
I didn't
an
even know
airplane.
it existed until like last year.
Well, there's
I
nothing
was
wrong
sitting
about
next to
seeing
a
it.
child when I watched that movie. I just
Oh,
want
okay.
everyone
That's
to
a little
know,
bit much. That's
like
a
it
little bit
was
much
a
for a
mistake. The
child.
whole thing was a mistake. I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I like a good robot movie.
That's like the first time
Nope.
I decided to watch Sully was on an airplane. That was also a mistake.
Franz just likes him because he looks Indian. He doesn't look Indian.
What?
Not at all.
That's a weird
Man,
statement.
some of y'all got brain rock.
Yeah, that's
Some of y'all really have brain. I like him because he's fucking hot. See, this is
yeah.
what I
He's
said,
an
Jesse. When you
attractive.
said if you know,
I
you
think
know.
he's an
These
attractive man.
people,
Yeah.
these people are on copium, Jesse. You're like, what? He's a very widely handsome man, and then you get takes like this. Come on, man. There's
You know
people
who's?
that don't think
Look,
he's attractive. Their
I
eyes are broken. If you know,
well,
you know,
you
though.
know what? I think
Fellow cultured people of the chat, if you know, you
they're
know.
all handsome.
Oscar
They're
Isaac.
all of them. There's not a. I'm waiting for the Marvel hero who's like, my name is John Smithman. I used to work at the shipping
here's-
department of Walmart.
Here's
He's
Oscar
like
Isaac
overweight
from
and
Ex
like
Machina, by the way. Shaved
Yeah.
head plays.
Oh, wow.
You get a lot of
He's
shirtless
a-
Oscar Isaac as well.
Oh,
yeah. There's a whole
wow.
dance scene
There's
that
a
takes
dance
place.
scene, and let me tell you, he can
Oh, yeah.
dance. He's a
He
dancer.
does a little like
Oh,
dance
wow.
move. Oh,
Very good.
yeah, you'll love it. Bronze, you'll love the movie. No spoilers.
I'm gonna watch it tonight. Instead of watching Multiverse of Madness, I'm gonna watch Ex Machina.
It's good.
Yeah, no comment.
It's a good film.
Yeah.
Everyone's hot actually in that movie. Now that I think about it, even like
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're all hot. What the hell?
Ex Machina made me want robots and fear them at the same time.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I've never had a movie where I was like, I would bang every one of those robots, but also,
Yep.
I'm terrified of robots now.
You should be.
I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's real terrified. All right, let's do some
Really
shout
good.
outs.
Good movie.
Call it a show. Bronze. What do you got going on? Do some shout outs for us.
Hi, hello. I'm that bronze girl, and I like Oscar Isaac and Cillian Murphy. And if you don't, I don't care because
You have a
I've
type,
heard you
don't
people
you?
thirst over mid women my entire life, so let me have this. I
Got 'em.
stream 5 days a week on Twitch, and yeah, I do D&D stuff and variety stuff. And I think this week I'm gonna try to finally beat Elden Ring because I started it and never beat it, or Total War Warhammer 3. One of those two. Who knows? I am living my best life. Instrumental. Shout outs to you.
The Cox Man. Do some Cox stuff.
Yo, hey, hi. If we're talking about people we love in movies that are attractive in
Yeah,
Marvel,
list them.
all of them, every single one, they can get it. Every one of y'all can get it. I don't play favorites. But hey, I hope you all are ready because we've got a ton of stuff to watch this week. And Wednesday and then Thursday, it's gonna be crazy. And again, reminder, we're doing a show. It's gonna be live, JP?
Maybe. I guess we
Well,
could
we're gonna
just
end up-
stream it live or we could just wait. Should we stream it live?
I don't know.
Well, the thing
I-
is,
like-
this chat's gonna be like, yeah, you should do it, stream it live. I don't.
Yeah.
It's really weird hours.
Chat, I can't look. All Marvel people can get it. Gemma Chan, it's worrisome because she definitely looks like an X, and it's uncomfortable for me. But everyone else,
Humble.
Can
Subtle
get it.
flex. Subtle flex.
very
a
not
subtle
subtle,
flex.
not subtle,
Yeah.
not subtle, extremely
You know,
not
I have
subtle,
the same. Yeah, no, I have the same issue. You know,
not subtle.
like I would find Pedro Pascal attractive, but I've just dated so many incredibly hot melanated
I
men
find Pedro Pascal
with great
like. Here's the
voices.
thing.
He's
I
great.
want to
I
wanna
can't do
get-
it, you know.
very high with Pedro Pascal.
Have you
Can I
heard
just
about his?
put it out there?
Have you seen the
He
interview?
Can I
seems
put that out there?
insanely
I'm
chill.
actually,
He seems insanely chill. Yes.
I'm
I
a
wanna
pretty
get,
big fanboy of Pedro. Did you see the interview where he came out of the movie
Oh, yes.
and he talked to a fan, and then the fan the fan said he seemed off or something like that, and Pedro was asked about it in another interview later, and he came out. He goes, "Oh no, I was just really fucking high." And so I was like completely stoned out of my mind. And this girl like gave me anxiety.
I think there's the interview where I think someone asks between him and Oscar Isaac who's the better daddy.
Yes.
And he's
I
like,
saw
"Oh,
that too on TikTok.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm the
it was-
daddy. And I was like,
Yeah. He kept
get
saying
him, Pedro.
he kept
Get him,
saying I'm your
Pedro."
daddy in that interview. And I was like, this is a weird man.
I'm convinced that dude is just like
Gotta be
having
super chill.
He is high.
He seems
and I want to
really,
be
yeah.
on that train with him.
He
Here's the
seems
thing.
like he's like vibing, you know.
Jesse.
Every time I see him, he seems like he's
Oh, yeah.
chilling.
Entire time I was watching Massive Weight and he was on screen, I kept thinking like, that's fucking
They got
Joel.
high. Oh,
That's Joel.
yes.
He's gonna kill
Yes!
him.
Like
He's gonna
that's
fucking kill him.
that's
I'm
gonna be
telling
like
you.
I'm gonna see this man be very, very intense in like a year or two.
But here's
No,
the
he's
thing,
gonna
like,
do it. He's gonna be
It's wild to think.
intense.
I know this sounds crazy, but if you watch Unbearable Talent, Massive Weight, that whole thing,
Yeah.
Nic Cage is Nic Cage and it's hilarious, but Pedro Pascal's character has like an arc
Yeah.
and like serious moments and like there is look, even though it's played for comedy, the moment where Nic Cage is standing at the door that's like a glass mirror door and Pedro Pascal's like, do you want to see what's inside? You're gonna think less of me if I show you. And he's like, you've got to show me. And he's like, I'm not okay. That moment is so well acted and played for comedy. It is incredible. And Pedro Pascal is like killing it.
Yeah.
The entire movie. Killing it. The scene where they're trying to get over the wall is one of the funniest fucking scenes I've seen in a movie in years.
That's pretty good.
In years. It's like, leave me. He's like, always remember. It's shit is so funny.
Yeah.
Pedro
I need to
Pascal.
watch it.
That man is
It is.
a
It is good.
gem.
I think Bronze, you can actually watch it on I think you can buy it on Vudu for $20 and watch it from home. I'm not 100% certain, but you might be able to. So, anyways, we got to get out here. We got to call it a MCU Crew. Wednesday, we got Moon Knight finale. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we got the old Doc Strange. We hope it's good. We'll come back with our thoughts Saturday. Maybe it'll be streamed live. Maybe it'll be saved for the VOD for Monday. We'll see. I'll let you guys
What
know.
devs?
We'll figure it out. We're out of here. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next episode of the old
Bye.
MCU Crew. We're out of here. Bye-bye.